The air was thick with the scent of rosemary and roasted garlic as Zara stepped into La Belle Étoile, the upscale restaurant her husband, Darren, had chosen for her 33rd birthday. It was a rare choice. Darren wasn't one for extravagance. Zara smoothed the emerald green dress clinging to her curves, a color he'd always said brought out her eyes. Her dark curls bounced as she walked, her heels clicking softly against the polished hardwood floor. The dim glow of chandeliers cast a golden sheen over the room, where white tablecloths and flickering candles created an almost surreal intimacy. "Happy birthday, baby," Darren said, standing to greet her with a grin that seemed just a touch too wide. His navy suit was crisp, his tie perfectly knotted, a stark contrast to his usual jeans and faded tees. He pulled out her chair with a flourish, his cologne sharp and unfamiliar. "You look stunning." Zara blushed, settling into the cushioned seat. "This is... wow, Darren. You didn't have to go all out like this." Her voice carried a mix of gratitude and curiosity. They'd been married 5 years, and grand gestures like this were rare. The last time he'd planned anything was their first anniversary, and even then, it was just takeout and a rom-com at home. "Only the best for you tonight," he said, his eyes glinting under the candlelight. "I've got everything handled." He gestured to the table, where a bottle of red wine sat, its label in elegant French script. 2 crystal glasses sparkled beside it, already filled. "Imported from Bordeaux. Special order." Zara raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a playful smile. "Since when do you know wine? Last I checked, your drink of choice was beer from a can." He chuckled, leaning back in his chair, but his fingers drummed lightly on the table, a nervous habit she'd noticed over the years. "I've been doing some research. Wanted to make tonight perfect." "Perfect, huh?" She tilted her head, studying him. There was something in his eyes, too intense, too focused. Her gut twisted, a faint whisper of unease she couldn't quite place. She pushed it aside. "It's my birthday. He's trying. Don't overthink it." The restaurant buzzed softly around them, couples murmuring, glasses clinking, a violinist weaving through the tables with a haunting melody. Darren reached for her hand, his touch warm but fleeting. "To you, Zara. To 33 years of being incredible." He raised his glass, urging her to do the same. She hesitated for a split second, then lifted her glass, the wine catching the light like liquid garnet. "To us," she added softly, her voice catching on a thread of hope. Maybe this was a turning point. Maybe the distance she'd felt between them lately, his late nights, his vague answers, was just a phase. As their glasses clinked, Darren's smile widened, but his eyes stayed locked on hers, unblinking. "Drink up, baby," he said, his voice smooth as velvet but carrying an edge that made her pulse quicken. She brought the glass to her lips, the scent of berries and oak filling her senses. But something felt off. She couldn't shake the feeling that tonight wasn't just about her birthday. Their waitress approached, a young woman with a tight bun of dark hair and a name tag reading Rena. Her hands trembled slightly as she set down a basket of warm bread, her eyes darting between Zara and Darren. She was pretty, with sharp cheekbones and a nervous energy that seemed out of place in the polished setting. "Good evening," Rena said, her voice soft but strained. "Can I get you started with anything else?" Her gaze lingered on Zara, as if searching for something. Zara caught it, her intuition prickling again. "The wine's enough for now," Darren said quickly, his tone clipped. He flashed a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Right, babe." Zara nodded, forcing a smile. "It's perfect. Thank you, Rena." She glanced to the waitress, hoping for a clue to her unease, but Rena's eyes dropped to the table, her fingers twisting the edge of her apron. "It's special," Rena said, almost under her breath, as she gestured to the wine. The word hung in the air, heavy with meaning Zara couldn't grasp. Rena's eyes flicked to Darren's hands, then back to Zara, a silent plea in her expression before she turned and hurried toward the kitchen. Zara frowned, her fingers tightening around the stem of her glass. "She seemed nervous," she said, keeping her tone light. "Wonder what's up with her." Darren shrugged, tearing a piece of bread and popping it into his mouth. "Probably new." These fancy places stress people out. He leaned forward, his voice dropping conspiratorially. Bet she's worried about dropping a tray or something. Remember that time you spilled coffee all over your boss's desk? Zara laughed, the memory easing her tension for a moment. Oh, don't remind me. I thought I'd be fired on the spot. But as she spoke, her eyes followed Rena across the room. The waitress was whispering to another server, her face pale, her gestures urgent. Zara's stomach churned. What's going on? Hey, Darren said, snapping her attention back. You're zoning out on me. This is your night. Let's make it count. He raised his glass again, his smile almost too perfect, like a mask he'd rehearsed. Yeah, you're right, Zara said, forcing enthusiasm. She lifted her glass but didn't drink, instead setting it down and reaching for the bread. I'm just overwhelmed. This is all so thoughtful. Only the best, he repeated, his eyes tracking her every move. You deserve it. The violinist passed their table, the music swelling, and Zara used the moment to glance at Rena again. The waitress was now at the bar, her back to them, but her shoulders were tense, as if she were bracing for something. Zara's unease grew, a knot tightening in her chest. She wanted to ask Darren more, about the wine, the restaurant, his sudden extravagance, but something told her to play along for now. Tell me, she said, leaning forward with a teasing smile. What's got you so fancy tonight? You planning to propose again or something? Darren laughed, but it sounded forced. Maybe I just realized how lucky I am. His fingers tapped the table again, faster now. Drink up, Zara. Let's toast to new beginnings. That phrase, new beginnings, sent a shiver down her spine. She smiled, but her mind was racing. What's he really toasting to? Zara lifted the glass to her lips, the wine's aroma strong but tinged with something metallic, almost bitter. She took a small sip, letting the liquid sit on her tongue for a moment before swallowing. The taste was off, not the smooth, rich flavor she'd expected from an expensive Bordeaux. It left a faint burn, like medicine masked in sweetness. Darren watched her, his eyes narrowing slightly. What do you think? Good, right? She hesitated, her instincts screaming. It's different, she said carefully, setting the glass down. Maybe it needs to breathe a bit. His smile faltered, but he recovered quickly. Nah, it's perfect. You just gotta get used to the fancy stuff. He took a long sip from his own glass, his gaze never leaving her. Come on, drink up, baby. Let's make tonight unforgettable. That phrase again. It grated against her nerves, too deliberate, too rehearsed. She forced a laugh, twirling the glass in her fingers. You're really pushing this wine, huh? What, did you buy the vineyard or something? He chuckled, but it was tight, his fingers tapping faster now. Just want you to enjoy it. I spent a fortune on this bottle. Zara's smile stayed in place, but her mind was spinning. The bitter aftertaste lingered, and Rena's words, "It's special," echoed in her head. She glanced at the bottle, its label pristine, but something about it looked staged, like it had been placed there for show. You know, she said, keeping her tone light, I think I need some water first. All this richness is a lot. Darren's jaw tightened, almost imperceptibly. Water? Come on, Zara, live a little. It's your birthday. I'm living, she said, her voice teasing but firm. Just pacing myself. She signaled Rena, who was hovering near the bar, her eyes still darting toward their table. Could I get a glass of water, please? Rena nodded, her face pale. Of course. Right away. She practically fled to the kitchen, her apron flapping behind her. She's definitely new, Darren muttered, leaning back with a forced grin. Bet she's freaking out about messing up our order. Zara nodded, but her heart was pounding. The wine's aftertaste clung to her throat, and her gut screamed that something was wrong. I'm gonna freshen up, she said, standing. Be right back. Don't take too long, Darren called after her, his tone playful but with an edge she couldn't ignore. We've got a big night ahead. In the restroom, Zara locked herself in a stall and pulled out her phone. Her hands shook as she typed a quick text to her best friend. Maya, something's off. Darren's acting weird, and the wine tastes strange. Can you get here? She hit send, then leaned against the cool tile wall, trying to steady her breathing. The door creaked open, and soft footsteps approached. Zara. It was Rena's voice, low and urgent. Are you okay? Zara stepped out, startled. Rena? What's going on? Why do you keep looking at me like that? Rena glanced at the door, her voice barely a whisper. Don't finish that drink. Please. I can't say more here, but just trust me. Her eyes were wide, her hands trembling as she backed away and slipped out before Zara could respond. Zara's pulse thundered in her ears. She splashed water on her face, staring at her reflection in the mirror. The woman looking back was pale, her green eyes wide with fear. What the hell is happening? She dried her hands and headed back, determined to keep her cool until Maya arrived. Back at the table, Zara noticed her napkin was slightly askew, as if someone had touched it. She unfolded it carefully, her fingers brushing against a folded piece of paper inside, a receipt, crumpled and out of place. Her heart skipped as she turned it over. Scrawled in hurried black ink were the words, "He did this to another woman last year. Trust your gut." Her breath caught, her eyes darting to Darren. He was on his phone, laughing softly at something, his demeanor relaxed, too relaxed. Zara folded the napkin over the note, her mind racing. Who wrote this? Rena? Someone else? She glanced around, but the other servers were busy, and Rena was nowhere in sight. Everything okay? Darren asked, pocketing his phone. His smile was warm, but his eyes were sharp, watching her every move. Yeah, Zara said, her voice steady despite the panic clawing at her chest. Just taking it all in. This place is gorgeous. She forced a smile, tucking the note into her purse. You really outdid yourself. Only the best, he said again, his mantra for the night. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back, pretending to adjust her earring. His brow furrowed, but he didn't push it. You sure you're okay? You seem distracted. Zara laughed, the sound brittle. It's just a lot, you know? Big night, fancy restaurant. I'm not used to this. She leaned forward, resting her chin on her hand to hide her trembling fingers. So, tell me, how'd you pick this place? It's not exactly your style. He shrugged, sipping his wine. Saw it online. Good reviews. Thought it'd be a nice change. His answers were too vague, too polished. Zara's mind flashed to the note. Another woman. Last year. Her stomach churned. That's sweet, she said, her voice sugary. You're full of surprises tonight. She reached for her phone, pretending to check a notification, and typed another text to Maya. Get here. Well, something's seriously wrong. Hey, no phones, Darren teased, but there was an edge to his voice. This is our night. You're right, Zara said, slipping the phone back into her purse. Let's make it special. She lifted her glass, pretending to sip, but let the wine dribble into her napkin instead. Darren didn't notice, too busy scanning the room, as if waiting for something, or someone. Their appetizers arrived, delivered by a different server, a man who barely made eye contact. Zara's eyes flicked to the kitchen door, where Rena stood, watching her. The waitress gave a small, almost imperceptible nod before disappearing again. Zara's heart pounded. She knows something. And I need to find out what. Darren reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, sliding it across the table with a grin. For you, he said, his voice dripping with charm. Happy birthday, Zara. She stared at the box, her pulse racing. It was too perfect, too staged. She opened it slowly, revealing a delicate diamond bracelet, its stones catching the candlelight in a dazzling shimmer. Gasps came from nearby tables, and a woman in a red dress murmured, "Lucky lady." Darren. Zara's voice caught, not from awe but from suspicion. This is incredible. But how? You said we were tight on money. He waved a hand, his smile unwavering. I've got my ways. Don't worry about it. Just wear it and shine, baby. He reached for her wrist, but she pulled back, closing the box. It's gorgeous, she said, her mind screaming. Where did he get the money? Darren had been complaining about bills for months, refusing even small splurges like takeout. A bracelet like this cost thousands. Her eyes flicked to the note in her purse. Another woman. Another plan? Try it on, he urged, his voice tightening. Let's see it on you. In a minute, she said, smiling to keep him at ease. I'm still taking it all in. She glanced at Rena, who was clearing a nearby table, her movements stiff. As Rena leaned down, she whispered, barely audible, check under your seat. Zara's heart stopped. She dropped her fork, letting it clatter to the floor. Oops, she said, bending down to retrieve it. Her fingers brushed the underside of her chair, and there, taped to the wood, was a small silver packet, empty but crinkled. She ripped it free, hiding it in her palm as she sat up. Clumsy tonight, huh? Darren teased, but his eyes were sharp, tracking her every move. Guess I'm nervous, she said, slipping the packet into her purse. Her mind raced. What is this? She needed to get to the restroom again, to check it, but Darren was watching her like a hawk. Rena approached with their desserts, a chocolate tart for Zara and a creme brulee for Darren. As she set Zara's plate down, her fingers brushed Zara's hand, a deliberate touch. Enjoy, she said, her voice heavy with meaning. Thanks, Zara replied, her eyes locking with Rena's for a split second. The waitress nodded, then retreated. Zara's phone buzzed. Maya's reply. I'm 10 minutes away. Stall him. Zara exhaled, her resolve hardening. Whatever Darren was planning, she wasn't going down without a fight. Everything okay? Darren asked, his tone too casual. You're acting weird. Zara laughed, leaning forward to mirror his charm. Weird? I'm just overwhelmed by all this. You, this place, the bracelet, it's a lot. She raised her glass, pretending to sip again, and let the wine drip into her napkin. To us, she said, her voice steady but her heart thundering. And to finding out what you're really up to. Zara's heart thudded as she clutched the crinkled silver packet in her purse, its sharp edges pressing into her palm like a warning. The candlelit glow of La Belle Étoile felt suffocating now, the violinist's melody a mocking backdrop to her rising panic. Darren sat across from her, sipping his wine, his smile as polished as the crystal glass in his hand. But Zara's mind was elsewhere, replaying Rena's whispered words. Check under your seat. The empty packet she'd found taped beneath her chair was no accident. It was evidence of something sinister. She forced herself to smile, leaning forward to rest her chin on her hand, hiding the tremble in her fingers. This dessert looks amazing, she said, nodding at the chocolate tart Rena had placed before her. The rich scent of cocoa did nothing to calm her nerves. She needed to know what the packet was, but she couldn't risk Darren seeing her check it. Not yet. You barely touched your wine, Darren said, his tone light but his eyes sharp, tracking her untouched glass. Come on, Zara. It's your birthday. Loosen up. She laughed, the sound brittle in her throat. I'm pacing myself, babe. Don't want to end up dancing on the table. She twirled her fork, pretending to focus on the tart, but her mind was racing. She needed to get to the restroom to Google the code on the packet, but Darren's gaze felt like a spotlight. Since when do you pace yourself? He teased, leaning back with a smirk. Remember that time at Maya's barbecue? You were 3 margaritas in, singing karaoke like a rock star. Zara forced a grin, her stomach churning. Yeah, and you had to carry me home. Let's not repeat that tonight. She glanced toward the bar, where Rena was wiping down a counter, her movements jerky, her eyes darting toward their table. Zara's phone buzzed in her purse. Maya's text. 5 minutes away. Keep him talking. She exhaled, steadying herself. She had to stall. So, she said, tilting her head with a playful smile, what's with all this? The wine, The bracelet, this place? You're acting like you won the lottery or something. Darren's fingers paused on his glass, his smile tightening. Maybe I just wanted to spoil you. Is that so hard to believe? Not hard, she said, her voice soft but probing. Just unexpected. You've been stressed about money for months. Now this. She gestured to the opulent dining room, the glittering chandelier above. What's the occasion, really? He shifted in his seat, his fingers tapping that nervous rhythm again. You're overthinking it, Zara. Can't a guy treat his wife without an interrogation? Her pulse quickened at his defensiveness, but she kept her tone light. Not interrogating. Just curious. You know me, I like to know the story behind things. She leaned forward, her eyes locking with his. So, what's the story? He laughed, but it was forced, his eyes flickering to her glass. The story is I love you. Now drink up, baby. Let's make tonight unforgettable. That phrase again. It sent a chill down her spine. She lifted her glass, pretending to sip, and let the wine dribble into her napkin, now soaked and heavy in her lap. To unforgettable nights, she said, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. She needed to get to that restroom, now. Excuse me, she said, standing. I'll be right back. Darren's hand shot out, grazing her wrist. Again? You okay? She smiled, pulling away gently. Just the wine hitting me. Be back in a sec. As she walked away, she felt his eyes boring into her back. In the restroom, she locked herself in a stall and pulled out the packet. Her fingers trembled as she typed the printed code into her phone. The results loaded, a sedative, commonly used to incapacitate. Her breath hitched. He's trying to drug me. Zara splashed cold water on her face, her reflection in the restroom mirror pale and wide-eyed. The word sedative burned in her mind, each syllable a confirmation of her worst fears. Darren, her husband, the man she'd vowed to love, was planning something unthinkable. She gripped the sink, her knees weak, as her phone buzzed again. Maya, I'm here. Back corner, near the bar. Wearing a black scarf. Watch him. Zara dried her hands, tucked the packet deeper into her purse, and slipped her phone into her bra, activating the voice recorder app. If Darren was going down, she'd have proof. She smoothed her dress, took a deep breath, and stepped back into the restaurant, her heels clicking with purpose. Maya sat in a dimly lit booth, her black scarf draped over her shoulders, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk. She gave Zara a subtle nod, her expression grim. Zara returned a faint smile, her heart pounding as she slid back into her seat across from Darren. Everything okay? He asked, his tone casual but his eyes searching. He was halfway through his creme brulee, the spoon clinking against the dish. Perfect, Zara lied, her voice syrupy. She glanced at her wine glass, still nearly full, and pushed it slightly away. Just needed a moment. This place is a lot to take in. He chuckled, but it sounded hollow. You're acting like I brought you to a haunted house, not a five-star restaurant. He leaned forward, his voice dropping. Relax, Zara. Tonight's about us. Us, she repeated, her smile tight. She glanced at Maya, who was pretending to read a menu, her phone discreetly angled toward their table. Zara's recorder was running, capturing every word. She needed to keep him talking, to unravel his plan. You know, she said, twirling a curl around her finger, this reminds me of our first date. That little Italian place, the cheap wine. You were so nervous you spilled sauce on your shirt. Darren's smile softened, but his eyes stayed guarded. Yeah, I was a mess. You still said yes to a second date, though. Because you were sweet, she said, her voice catching on a thread of genuine pain. You used to tell me everything. What's changed, Darren? His jaw tightened, his fingers pausing on his spoon. Nothing's changed. I'm still here, aren't I? Are you? She asked, her tone soft but pointed. You've been distant. Late nights, secret calls. I'm not blind. She leaned forward, her eyes locked on his. "If something's going on, you can tell me. We're a team, right?" He shifted, his smile fading. "You're fishing, Zara. Nothing's going on. Just work stress. You know that." She nodded, but her mind screamed, "Liar." She glanced at Maya, who gave a subtle nod. Officer Lonra was on his way. Zara needed to keep him distracted. "Okay," she said, forcing a laugh. "I'll stop prying. Let's just enjoy tonight. Tell me about this wine again. Why's it so special?" His eyes lit up, too eager. "It's rare, limited batch. Guy at the shop said it's one of a kind." He lifted his glass, urging her to do the same. "Come on, one more toast. To forever." Forever. The word felt like a threat. She raised her glass, letting the wine touch her lips but not drinking. "To forever," she echoed, her voice steady as she poured more into her napkin. Maya's eyes met hers across the room. Time was running out. Zara leaned back, her heart racing but her face calm, as she steered the conversation to safer ground. Or so Darren would think. The recorder in her bra hummed softly, capturing every word, every pause. She needed him to slip, to reveal something she could use. The restaurant's ambience, clinking glasses, soft laughter, the violinist's mournful notes, felt like a stage for a drama only she understood. "Remember our wedding?" she asked, her voice wistful. "You were so nervous you forgot your vows halfway through." She smiled, watching his reaction closely. Darren chuckled, but it was strained, his fingers tapping the table again. "Yeah, I was sweating bullets. You looked like an angel, though." His eyes softened for a moment, but then they flicked to her glass. "You're still not drinking. What's up?" She shrugged, twirling her fork. "Just savoring the moment. You know, that day. You promised to always be honest with me. Remember that part?" Her tone was light, but her words carried weight, probing for a crack in his facade. He stiffened, his smile faltering. "Of course I remember. What's this about, Zara?" "Nothing," she said, her eyes wide with mock innocence. "Just feeling nostalgic. Weddings, birthdays, they make you think about promises, don't they?" She leaned forward, her voice dropping. "Like, do you still feel the same way you did back then?" His jaw clenched, but he recovered quickly, reaching for her hand. "You know I do. Why are you getting all deep on me? This is supposed to be fun." She let him hold her hand, her skin crawling at his touch. "It is fun," she said, smiling. "But sometimes I wonder, like that vacation in Tulum. You were so happy then. What happened to that guy?" She tilted her head, her eyes searching his. "You've been so secretive lately." He pulled his hand back, his smile gone. "Secretive? Zara, come on. I'm just trying to give you a nice night, and you're turning it into a therapy session." She laughed, keeping it light. Okay, I'll stop. Let's talk about something else. Like, the last time I drank wine with you. That dinner at your mom's, right? You picked that bottle too." She paused, watching his reaction. It tasted different too. His eyes widened, just for a second, before he masked it with a grin. "You're imagining things. That was cheap grocery store stuff. This," he gestured to the bottle, "is the real deal. Drink up, baby." His voice was smooth, but his fingers were tapping faster now, a frantic rhythm. Zara's heart pounded. He'd flinched at her mention of the wine. She was getting close. She glanced at Maya, who was texting furiously, her face tense. Lonra had to be close. "You're right," Zara said, lifting her glass but not drinking. "I'm probably just tired. Work's been crazy." She set the glass down, her napkin now a sodden mess in her lap. "Tell me about your week. Any big deals at work?" He relaxed slightly, launching into a vague story about a client meeting. Zara nodded, pretending to listen, but her mind was on the packet, the note, the sedative. She needed one more push to make him crack. The restaurant's energy shifted as Rena suddenly untied her apron, her movements sharp and deliberate. Zara watched, her breath catching, as the waitress folded the apron and handed it to another server, her face pale but resolute. Rena's eyes met Zara's across the room, and she mouthed 2 words, "Good luck." Then she slipped through the kitchen door, gone. Darren noticed, his brow furrowing. "What's with her?" he muttered, his voice low. "She was acting weird all night." Zara's pulse raced, but she kept her tone casual. "Yeah, maybe she's not cut out for this place." Looked stressed. She forced a smile, her mind screaming, "Rena knows something. She's running because of you." She glanced at Maya, who gave a subtle nod, her phone pressed to her ear. Lonra was close. Zara just needed to keep Darren distracted. "Maybe she messed up an order," Zara said, shrugging. "You know how these fancy places are. High pressure." She leaned forward, her voice teasing. "Bet you'd be a terrible waiter. You'd charm the customers but forget half the orders." He laughed, but it was tight, his eyes scanning the room. "Yeah, I'll stick to my day job. Speaking of, you're really killing the vibe tonight, Zara. What's with all the questions?" Her heart skipped, but she kept her cool. "Just trying to keep up with you, Mr. Fancy. This isn't exactly our usual pizza night." She gestured to the bottle. "And this wine, you're so proud of it. Tell me more about it. Where'd you even find it?" His smile returned, but it was strained. "Some guy at the shop recommended it. Said it's a rare vintage. Thought it'd be perfect for tonight." He reached for her glass, pushing it toward her. "You're not giving it a fair shot. One more sip." She laughed, pushing the glass back. "I'm good for now. Let's talk about you. You've been so mysterious lately. What's the big secret?" Her tone was playful, but her eyes were sharp, watching for any slip. He shifted, his fingers gripping his spoon too tightly. "No secrets, Zara. Just trying to make you happy." "Why's that so hard to believe?" "Because you're not yourself," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You're acting like, I don't know, like you're hiding something." She leaned closer, her recorder catching every word. "If you're in trouble, Darren, you can tell me. I'm your wife." His eyes darkened, his smile gone. "You're paranoid, Zara. Just drink the damn wine and enjoy the night." The sharpness in his tone cut through her, but she held her ground, her smile unwavering. "Okay," she said, lifting the glass and pretending to sip, letting more wine soak into her napkin. Across the room, Maya stood, her scarf slipping as she moved toward the entrance. Zara's heart leaped. Help was here. Zara's pulse thundered as Maya approached, her steps casual but her eyes blazing with purpose. She wore a black dress under her scarf, blending into the restaurant's upscale crowd, but her presence was a lifeline. Zara's recorder was still running, and the silver packet burned a hole in her purse. She needed Darren to crack, and she needed it now. Maya reached their table, feigning a stumble as she passed. "Oh gosh, sorry," she said, her voice bright as she steadied herself on their table. In the commotion, Zara slid the silver packet from her purse and dropped it onto the table, right in front of Darren. His eyes widened, his face paling as he stared at the packet. "What's this?" Maya asked, her tone curious but pointed as she picked it up, turning it over in her hands. Darren's mouth opened, then closed, his fingers twitching. I don't know. Must have fallen from somewhere." He reached for it, but Maya pulled it back, her smile sharp. "Really?" Maya said, glancing at Zara. "Looks important. Zara, you seen this before?" Zara's heart pounded, but she kept her voice steady. "No idea." "Darren, any guesses?" She leaned forward, her eyes locked on his. "What's it for?" He laughed, a nervous, barking sound. "This isn't funny, you two. It's probably trash from another table." He reached again, but Zara grabbed his wrist, her grip firm. "Then why were you so jumpy?" she asked, her voice low and cold. "What's in it, Darren?" Tell me. His eyes darted between her and Maya, his composure crumbling. You're both crazy. I was just trying to give you a nice night, Zara. I wasn't going to hurt you. I just needed you quiet for a bit, okay? To fix things. Zara's breath caught, her recorder catching every damning word. Fix what? She pressed, her voice trembling with rage. What were you planning? He ran a hand through his hair, his voice rising. You don't get it. Things were falling apart. I needed time, that's all. It's not what you think. Maya leaned in, her voice like ice. It's exactly what we think. You're caught, Darren. She glanced at Zara, her eyes fierce. You got this. Zara nodded, her resolve steel. Yeah, I've got it. She stared at Darren, her voice steady. You're going to tell me everything. Right now. He stood, his chair scraping back, his face flushed. This is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. But as he turned, Maya blocked his path, her phone in hand, Lonra's number already dialed. Sit down, Darren, Zara said, her voice calm but unyielding. You're not going anywhere. The air in La Belle Étoile felt charged, the soft clink of glasses and the violinist's mournful notes fading into a tense hum as Zara stared at Darren across the candlelit table. The silver packet, evidence of a sedative, lay between them, its crinkled surface catching the light like a silent accusation. Zara's heart pounded, but her voice recorder, discreetly tucked in her bra, was capturing every word. Maya stood nearby, her black scarf slipping from her shoulders, her eyes fierce as she held the packet, daring Darren to explain. Darren's face was pale, his fingers twitching as he stared at the packet. This is crazy, he stammered, his voice cracking. You're making something out of nothing, Zara. It's just trash, probably from the kitchen. Zara leaned forward, her green eyes cold. Trash? Taped under my seat? Try again, Darren. Her voice was steady, but her pulse raced. The note in her purse, he did this to another woman last year. Trust your gut, burned in her mind, fueling her resolve. Maya twirled the packet in her fingers, her smile sharp. Looks like a drug packet to me. What's it doing here, Darren? Planning a special birthday surprise. Her tone was mocking, but her eyes were locked on him, ready to pounce. He laughed, a nervous, barking sound. You two are insane. I'm not some criminal. I just wanted to give Zara a nice night. His voice rose, drawing glances from nearby tables. A woman in a red dress whispered to her partner, their eyes darting toward the drama unfolding. Zara's heart ached, but her anger was stronger. A nice night, she said, her voice low and cutting. You've been pushing that wine all night, Darren. The wine that tastes like medicine. The wine Rena warned me not to drink. She leaned closer, her recorder catching every syllable. What were you going to do to me? His eyes widened, his hands gripping the tablecloth. Rena? That waitress? She's nuts. Zara. You're listening to a stranger over me. He ran a hand through his hair, his composure crumbling. I wasn't going to hurt you, okay? I needed you calm. To fix things. Fix what? Zara snapped, her voice trembling with betrayal. What's so broken that you'd drug your own wife? She glanced at Maya, who gave a subtle nod. Officer Lonra was minutes away, watching from the entrance in plain clothes. Darren's voice dropped, almost a whisper. You don't understand. Things were falling apart. The business, the money. I needed time to sort it out. I wasn't going to let anything happen to you. Zara's stomach churned, but she kept her cool. Time for what? To run off with our savings? To disappear. She gestured to the diamond bracelet on the table, its sparkle now mocking. Where'd you get the money for this, Darren? Because it sure as hell wasn't from our account. His jaw clenched, his eyes darting to the packet. You're blowing this out of proportion. I love you, Zara. I'd never. Stop, she cut him off, her voice like steel. "You're lying. And I'm done pretending I don't see it." She tapped her chest subtly, signaling the recorder. Every word was damning him. Maya leaned in, her voice low. "You're in deep, Darren. Better start talking before this gets worse." Across the room, Lonra's silhouette loomed near the bar, his presence a silent promise of justice. Zara's heart raced. She was so close to unraveling everything. Maya slid into the booth beside Zara, her movements casual but her eyes blazing with purpose. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small envelope, sliding it across the table with a deliberate slowness that made Darren stiffen. "You might want to take a look at these," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. Zara opened the envelope, her hand steady despite the storm in her chest. Inside were photos, grainy but unmistakable. Darren, in this same restaurant, 2 months ago, sitting across from a woman with long dark hair. The same wine bottle sat between them, the same velvet gift box open in her hands. Zara's breath caught, her heart splintering as she recognized the scene. It was a mirror of tonight, down to the candlelight and Darren's practiced smile. "What the hell is this?" Darren snapped, reaching for the photos, but Maya slapped her hand over them, pinning them to the table. "Don't touch," she said, her voice cold. "You've got enough explaining to do, Darren. Care to tell Zara who this woman is? Or should I?" Zara's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. "Her name's Temi, isn't it?" she said, her voice trembling but firm. "Rena mentioned her. Said you did this before." She held up a photo, her hands shaking. "Same restaurant, same wine, same bracelet. What's your game, Darren?" His face flushed, his fingers tapping a frantic rhythm on the table. "This is bullshit, Zara. You're trusting some random waitress and Maya's spy games over me? Those photos could be anyone." Maya laughed, sharp and unyielding. "Oh, please. I hired a private investigator weeks ago when you started acting shady. Late nights, secret calls, money disappearing from your joint account. These are date-stamped, Darren. You and Temi, cozy as hell, right here." She tapped the photo, her nail clicking against it. "Want to keep lying?" Zara's heart twisted, the betrayal cutting deeper with every word. "You told me we were broke," she said, her voice low. "You said we couldn't afford a vacation, but you could afford this?" She gestured to the bracelet, the wine, the opulent restaurant. "Who's paying for it, Darren? Because it's not you." He ran a hand over his face, his voice rising. "You don't get it, Zara. I was trying to protect us. The business was tanking, okay? I had to make moves, take risks." "Risks?" Zara cut in, her voice sharp. "Like drugging me? Like stealing from me?" She leaned forward, her eyes locked on his. "I found the bank statements, Darren. Money moved to accounts I've never seen. You forged my name, didn't you?" His eyes darted to the exit, but Maya leaned closer, her voice a hiss. "Don't even think about running. My guy's outside, and he's not as nice as me." She glanced toward Lonra, who was now closer, his plain clothes blending with the crowd but his presence unmistakable. Darren's shoulders slumped, his voice barely audible. "I didn't want it to go this far. I just needed a way out." Zara's heart broke, but her resolve hardened. "A way out of what? Our marriage? Our life?" She tapped her chest again, the recorder still running. "Say it, Darren. Say what you were planning." He shook his head, his voice cracking. "You'll never understand." "Then make me," she said, her voice steady as steel. The restaurant's hum faded, the world narrowing to this moment, this truth. Zara's hands trembled as she clutched the photos, the images of Darren and Temi searing into her mind. The restaurant's elegance, the crystal chandeliers, the soft violin, the scent of rosemary, felt like a cruel mockery of the betrayal unfolding. Maya sat beside her, a pillar of strength, while Darren squirmed, his lies unraveling under their combined scrutiny. The silver packet still lay on the table, a silent witness to his guilt. "You took out a loan in my name," Zara said, her voice low but shaking with fury. "I found the papers, Darren. Forged signatures, secret accounts. You were going to clean me out and disappear, weren't you?" Her eyes burned into his, daring him to deny it. He shifted, his face flushed, his fingers gripping the tablecloth. "It wasn't like that, Zara. I was going to pay it back. The business was bleeding money, and I needed a quick fix. I didn't want to drag you into it." "Drag me into it?" she snapped, her voice rising enough to draw more glances from nearby diners. "You used my name, my credit. You were going to drug me tonight to cover your tracks." She pointed to the packet, her hand steady despite her rage. "What was the plan, Darren? Knock me out, empty the accounts, and run off with Temmie?" His eyes widened, his voice dropping to a desperate whisper. No, it's not about Temmie. She was a mistake, okay? A one-time thing. I swear, Zara, I love you." Maya snorted, leaning forward. "A mistake? You took her to this exact restaurant, gave her the same bracelet, the same wine. You've got a playbook, Darren. How many women have you pulled this on?" She slid another photo across the table. Darren and Temmie at a hotel, his arm around her waist. Zara's stomach churned, but she kept her voice steady. "You're a liar," she said, her words cutting through the restaurant's hum. "You didn't just cheat. You planned to ruin me. Why, Darren? After everything we've built." He ran both hands through his hair, his voice cracking. "You think I wanted this? I was drowning, Zara. The business, the debts. I thought I could fix it, start over. I just needed you out of the way for a few hours." "Out of the way?" she repeated, her voice trembling with disbelief. "You mean unconscious, drugged, helpless?" She leaned closer, her recorder capturing every damning word. "You're not just a cheat, Darren. You're a coward." His eyes flashed with anger, but he caught himself, forcing a smile. "You're twisting this. I'd never hurt you. I panicked, okay? I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't cut it," Maya said, her voice like ice. "You're done, Darren. The cops are already here." She nodded toward Lonra, who was now just a few tables away, his eyes locked on their table. Darren's face paled, his hands shaking. "Cops? Zara, you can't do this. We're married. We can work this out." Zara shook her head, her voice cold. "We're done working anything out. You made your choice." She tapped her chest, the recorder still running, sealing his fate. The restaurant's ambience felt surreal now, the candlelight casting long shadows as the confrontation reached its peak. Zara's heart pounded, the photos and packet on the table a damning tableau of Darren's betrayal. Maya's presence was a lifeline, her fierce loyalty grounding Zara as she faced the man she'd once loved. Across the room, Officer Lonra edged closer, his plain clothes blending with the crowd but his authority palpable. Maya leaned forward, her voice low and cutting. "You thought you could pull this again, didn't you? Same script, different woman. Tell us about Temmie, Darren. What happened to her?" Darren's eyes darted to the photos, his voice trembling. "Temmie was nothing. A fling. She got clingy, so I cut her off. That's it." Zara's hands clenched, her nails digging into her palms. "A fling," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "Rena said you did this to her, too. Same wine, same plan. Did you drug her, Darren? Did you leave her helpless, like you planned for me?" He shook his head, his voice rising. "No. I didn't drug anyone. Temmie was fine, okay? She left town. I don't know where she went." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Funny how she filed a complaint against you, then vanished. Sounds like you scared her off. Or worse." She glanced at Lonra, who was now just a table away, his hand resting casually on his belt, ready to move. Zara's heart twisted, the pieces falling into place. "You're a predator," she said, her voice steady despite the tears threatening to spill. You didn't just cheat on me. You used me, used her, used our life to fund your escape." She held up the photo of Temi, her hands trembling. "What did you do to her, Darren? Tell me the truth." He slumped, his voice barely audible. "I didn't do anything. She was fine. I gave her the bracelet, we had dinner, and she left. That's it." But his eyes betrayed him, flickering with guilt. Maya leaned closer, her voice a hiss. "You're lying." Temi filed a police report, said she felt woozy after dinner with you. Sound familiar? She gestured to Zara's untouched wine glass, the liquid gleaming like poison in the candlelight. Zara's stomach churned, but she kept her gaze locked on Darren. "You're not getting away with this," she said, her voice firm. "Not this time." She tapped her chest, the recorder still running, capturing every word for Lonra, who was now steps away, his presence a silent promise of justice. Darren's eyes darted to the exit, his voice desperate. "Zara, please. I messed up, okay? But I love you. We can fix this." "Fix this?" she said, her voice breaking. "You tried to drug me. You stole from me. There's no fixing this." She glanced at Lonra, her resolve hardening. The truth was out, and Darren was cornered. The restaurant's hum faded as Officer Lonra approached, his plain clothes doing little to hide the authority in his stride. Zara's heart pounded, the weight of the moment crushing. The silver packet, the photos, the note, and her recorder were a fortress of evidence, and Darren's lies were crumbling. Maya stood beside her, her eyes fierce, her phone still in hand, ready to call for backup if needed. Lonra stopped at their table, his voice calm but firm. "Darren Michaels? I'm Officer Lonra. I need you to come with me for questioning." His eyes flicked to the packet, then to Zara, a silent acknowledgement of her courage. Darren's face drained of color, his hands shaking as he stood. "This is a mistake," he said, his voice high and panicked. "Zara, tell them. I didn't do anything." Zara stood, her legs steady despite the storm in her chest. She reached into her purse and pulled out the note, sliding it across the table. "You did this before, Darren. To Temi. And you tried it with me." She tapped her chest, her voice cold. "I recorded everything. Every lie, every excuse. You're done." His eyes widened, his voice a desperate hiss. "You recorded me? Zara, how could you? I'm your husband." "Not anymore," she said, her voice like steel. She turned to Lonra, her hands trembling but her resolve unshaken. "I have proof. The packet, the note, the recording. He tried to drug me tonight." Lonra nodded, his expression grim. "We'll take it from here, ma'am." He gestured to Darren. "Let's go. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." Darren's eyes darted to the exit, but Maya stepped closer, her voice low. "Don't even think about it. You're not slipping out of this one." The restaurant had gone quiet, diners watching in stunned silence as the drama unfolded. Darren's shoulders slumped, his voice breaking. "Zara, you'll regret this. We could have worked it out." She shook her head, tears finally spilling but her voice steady. "The only thing I regret is trusting you." She turned to Lonra. "Take him." As Lonra cuffed Darren, his voice low and warning, the restaurant erupted in whispers. The woman in the red dress gasped, her hand over her mouth. Zara stood tall, her heart shattered but her spirit unbroken. Maya wrapped an arm around her, whispering, "You did it. You're free." Zara nodded, her eyes fixed on Darren as he was led away, his head bowed. The recorder in her bra was still running, capturing the sound of her victory, and the end of her nightmare. The chandelier light in La Belle Étoile seemed to dim as Officer Lonra led Darren away, his handcuffs glinting briefly before they disappeared through the kitchen doors. The restaurant's hum, clinking glasses, soft laughter, the violinist's lingering melody, resumed, but it felt hollow, like a stage resetting after a tragedy. Zara stood frozen by the table, her emerald green dress clinging to her trembling frame, the silver packet and photos still scattered across the white tablecloth like evidence from a crime scene. Her wine glass, barely touched, sat heavy with the weight of betrayal, its contents now a symbol of Darren's deception. Maya's arm was around her, steady and warm. "You okay, Z?" she whispered, her voice soft but urgent, her black scarf now draped over the back of the booth. Her eyes, usually fierce, were filled with concern. Zara nodded, her throat tight. I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. She sank into her chair, her legs unsteady, and stared at the diamond bracelet Darren had given her, its sparkle now grotesque. "How did I not see this coming, Maya? 5 years, and I missed it all." Maya slid into the seat across from her, pushing the photos aside. "Don't do that to yourself," she said firmly. "He's a liar, Zara. A damn good one. But you caught him. You're stronger than you know." Zara's eyes burned with unshed tears, her fingers tracing the edge of the table where the sedative packet had been taped. "I trusted him," she said, her voice cracking. "I thought tonight was about us. About fixing things." She laughed bitterly, the sound jarring in the restaurant's polished ambience. "God, I'm such an idiot." "You're not," Maya snapped, leaning forward. "You're a survivor. You listened to your gut, and you stopped him. That's power, Zara." She reached for Zara's hand, squeezing it. "You're still here, and he's gone. That's what matters." A waiter approached, a young man with nervous eyes, clearly aware of the drama. Can I get you anything? Water? Or maybe the check?" His voice faltered, his hands fidgeting with a notepad. Zara forced a smile, her heart still racing. "Water, please. And keep the wine." She gestured to the bottle, its French label now a taunt. The waiter nodded and scurried off, leaving them in a bubble of quiet amidst the restaurant's buzz. Maya leaned back, her eyes scanning the room. "People are staring," she said, her voice low. "That woman in the red dress hasn't stopped whispering since Lanra showed up." Zara glanced over, catching the woman's curious gaze before she quickly looked away. "Let them stare," she said, her voice steadier now. "They don't know what I just went through." She pulled out her phone, checking the recorder app, still running, capturing every moment of Darren's confession. She stopped it, her hands trembling. "This is going to bury him, isn't it?" Maya grinned, fierce and proud. "Oh, yeah. That recording, the packet, the photos? He's done, Zara. Lanra's got everything he needs." She paused, her expression softening. "What do you need right now? Want to get out of here?" Zara shook her head, her eyes fixed on the table. "Not yet. I need to sit with this for a minute. Figure out who I am after this." She touched the bracelet, then pushed it away. "I can't believe I almost drank that wine." "You didn't," Maya said, her voice firm. "You trusted yourself. And Rena. That waitress saved your ass, you know." Zara nodded, her mind flashing to Rena's urgent whispers, her sudden exit. "I owe her," she said softly. "I need to find her, thank her." She glanced toward the kitchen, but Rena was gone, her apron abandoned. The weight of the night settled over her, heavy but strangely liberating. The restaurant's energy shifted as a woman approached their table, her steps confident but cautious. She was in her late 30s, with sharp cheekbones and a sleek bob, her notebook tucked under her arm like a weapon. Her badge read Elena, food and culture reporter, but her eyes held the hunger of a journalist chasing a bigger story. Zara tensed, her fingers tightening around her water glass, the ice clinking softly. "Zara Michaels?" Elena asked, her voice smooth but probing. "I'm Elena Carter, with the City Pulse. I couldn't help overhearing, well, everything." She gestured to the now empty spot where Darren had sat, the photos still scattered on the table. "I think you have a story worth telling." Zara's heart skipped, her eyes flicking to Maya, who raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "We're kind of in the middle of something," Maya said, her tone clipped. "This isn't the time." Elena didn't flinch, pulling up a chair and sitting uninvited. "I get it," she said, her voice earnest. "But what happened here tonight? It's big. I saw the police, the packet, the whole scene. And I spoke to Rena before she left. She gave me your name, Zara. Said you're someone who deserves to be heard." Zara's breath caught at Rena's name. "Rena sent you?" she asked, her voice wary but curious. "Why?" Elena leaned forward, her eyes intense. "She said you're not the first. That your husband's done this before. I cover stories like this, women who've been silenced, betrayed. If you share what happened, anonymously if you want, it could help others. Warn them." Maya crossed her arms, her voice sharp. "And what's in it for you? A juicy headline? You're not using Zara for clicks." Elena raised her hands, defensive. "I'm not here to exploit anyone. I've been following cases like this. Men using their charm to manipulate, to harm. Your story could shine a light, Zara. It could save someone." She paused, her voice softening. Rena said she wished she'd spoken up sooner. For the other woman. Zara's stomach churned, the mention of Temi cutting deep. "Temi," she said softly, her eyes on the photos. "That's her name, right? The woman he did this to before." Elena nodded, scribbling in her notebook. "Rena mentioned her. Said she worked here last year, saw it all go down. I don't have the details, but if you're willing to talk, I can protect your identity. This could be bigger than just tonight." Zara hesitated, her heart torn between fear and fury. "I don't know," she said, her voice trembling. "This just happened. I'm still processing." Maya squeezed her shoulder. "You don't owe anyone anything, Z. But if you want to do this, I'm right here. We'll make sure it's your story, your way." Zara looked at the photos, the bracelet, the wine glass, remnants of a life she thought she knew. "If I talk," she said slowly, "it's not about me. It's about making sure no one else falls for his lies." She met Elena's eyes, her resolve hardening. "I'll do it. But no names. Not yet." Elena nodded, her pen poised. "Deal. Just tell me what happened, in your own words. From the moment you walked in tonight." Zara took a deep breath, her voice steadying as she began. "It was supposed to be my birthday celebration." As she spoke, the restaurant's hum faded, her words carrying the weight of truth. Diners nearby leaned closer, eavesdropping, their whispers a backdrop to her story. Maya watched, proud, as Zara found her voice. As Elena scribbled notes, Zara's phone buzzed relentlessly in her purse, notifications piling up. She pulled it out, her hands still shaking from recounting the night's events. The screen glowed with messages, not just from friends, but from strangers, their words flooding in like a tidal wave. Maya leaned over, her eyes widening. What the hell? How do people already know? Zara opened the first message, her breath catching. "I saw your story trending on X. You're so brave. My ex did something similar, drugged my drink at a bar. I never reported it. Thank you for speaking up." Another read, "I thought I was paranoid when my boyfriend kept pushing me to drink. Your story saved me tonight." Her heart pounded, a mix of shock and validation washing over her. "Elena," Zara said, her voice urgent, "did you post something already? How do people know?" Elena shook her head, her eyes wide. "I haven't published yet." But Rena was tweeting from the kitchen before she left, anonymous, but she tagged it with #TrustYourGut. "It's gone viral." She pulled out her phone, showing a thread with thousands of retweets, women sharing stories of betrayal, drugged drinks, and gut instincts ignored. Zara's story, though unnamed, was the spark. Maya whistled, scrolling through her own phone. "Damn, Z. You're a movement. Look at this. I thought I was overthinking my date's weird vibe. This story made me leave. You're saving lives." Zara's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back. "I didn't do anything," she said, her voice soft. "I just survived." You did more than that, Maya said, her voice fierce. You spoke up. That's everything. She turned to Elena. Make sure this stays anonymous, okay? Zara's been through enough. Elena nodded, her expression serious. Absolutely. I'll keep it vague but powerful. This is about the message, not the spotlight. She paused, her voice softening. But Zara, you should know, people are already calling you a hero online. Women are sharing their stories because of you. Zara's throat tightened, her fingers tracing the edge of the table where the packet had been. I don't feel like a hero, she said, her voice barely audible. I feel broken. Maya grabbed her hand, her voice firm. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. And you're not alone. She gestured to the phone, the messages still pouring in. These women, they're with you. A nearby diner, the woman in the red dress, approached hesitantly, her voice low. I'm sorry, I overheard. I just wanted to say thank you. My sister went through something like this. She never spoke up. You're giving her courage. She squeezed Zara's shoulder and walked away, leaving Zara stunned. Zara looked at Maya, her eyes wide. This is overwhelming. She scrolled through another message. Your story made me check my drink tonight. I found something in it. Thank you. Her heart swelled, a spark of purpose igniting amidst the pain. Keep going, Maya said, her voice soft but fierce. You're starting something big, Z. Don't stop now. As Elena packed up her notebook, promising to follow up discreetly, a waiter approached with a folded piece of paper. This was left for you, he said, handing it to Zara before retreating. Her hands trembled as she unfolded it, recognizing Darren's scrawl instantly. The note was brief, written in haste. Zara, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. You ruined everything, but I still love you. Zara laughed, a sharp, bitter sound that cut through the restaurant's hum. She crumpled the note, her anger flaring. He's sorry, she said, her voice shaking. He tries to drug me, steal from me, and I ruined everything? She tossed the note onto the table, where it landed beside the photos, a final insult. Maya grabbed the note, her eyes blazing as she read it. This guy's got some nerve, she said, her voice low. No apology, just blame. Classic Darren. She tore the note in half, the rip echoing in the quiet bubble around their table. You don't need this, Z. He's nothing now. Zara nodded, her heart heavy but her resolve growing. He thinks he can guilt me, she said, her voice steadying. Like I'm the one who broke us. She looked at the bracelet, the wine, the photos, remnants of a life built on lies. But he's wrong. I'm not the one who's broken. Maya grinned, fierce and proud. Damn right. You're a badass, Zara. You took him down in front of everyone. She gestured to the restaurant, where diners were still stealing glances, their whispers a mix of awe and curiosity. You're walking out of here stronger than you came in. Zara's eyes flicked to the woman in the red dress, now back at her table, watching with a small, encouraging smile. She thought of the messages flooding her phone, the women finding their voices because of her. I don't know what happens next, she admitted, her voice soft. But I know I'm done letting him define me. Maya squeezed her hand, her voice fierce. You define you. And you're just getting started. She glanced at the wine glass, untouched and gleaming. You didn't drink his lies, Z. That's power. Zara nodded, a faint smile breaking through her pain. She picked up the bracelet, its diamonds cold in her hand, and dropped it into her purse, not as a keepsake, but as evidence. Let's get out of here, she said, her voice firm. I'm ready. As they stood, the restaurant's hum seemed to pause, the diner's eyes following Zara as she walked toward the exit, Maya at her side. The violinist's melody swelled, a haunting backdrop to her transformation. She wasn't just a wife betrayed, she was a woman reborn, her story already echoing beyond the walls of La Belle Étoile. The hum of La Belle Étoile felt distant as Zara stood near the table, the remnants of her shattered birthday, photos, the silver packet, the untouched wine glass, scattered like wreckage. Darren was gone, led away in handcuffs by Officer Lonra, but his betrayal lingered, heavy in the air. Maya stood beside her, her black scarf now draped over her arm, her eyes scanning the room for any lingering threats. The restaurant's chandeliers cast a soft glow, but the warmth was gone, replaced by a surreal clarity. Zara's phone buzzed again, another message from a stranger. "I think I know Temi. She worked at that restaurant. She told me about a creepy guy last year. Is this him?" Zara's heart skipped, her fingers trembling as she showed the message to Maya. "Temi," she whispered. "She's out there, somewhere. And she went through this." Maya's eyes narrowed, her voice low. "That's no coincidence, Z. Rena knew her, and now this? Darren's got a pattern." She glanced at the photos, where Temi's face, blurred but haunting, stared back. "We need to find her." Zara nodded, her resolve hardening. If she's out there, she deserves to know he's caught. She looked at the woman in the red dress, still watching from her table, her expression a mix of awe and empathy. "Maybe she can help," Zara said, her voice steady. "Someone here must know Temi." Maya squeezed her shoulder. "You're already thinking like a fighter. Let's talk to that woman." They approached the woman in the red dress, who stood as they neared, her eyes wide. "You're Zara, right?" the woman said, her voice soft. "I'm Lila. I knew Temi. She was a friend. She told me about a guy, your husband, I think. She was scared, said he made her feel off after a dinner here." Zara's heart clenched. "Did she say what happened?" she asked, her voice urgent. Lila hesitated, glancing around. She felt dizzy, woke up in a hotel room alone. She filed a report, but then she left town. Said she couldn't stay. Her eyes met Zara's. "You're brave for stopping him." Zara's throat tightened, but she nodded. "I'm not done yet. Temi deserves justice, too." Zara returned to her table, Lila's words echoing in her mind. The restaurant's violinist played a haunting melody, the notes weaving through the murmurs of diners now resuming their meals. Maya sat across from her, scrolling through her phone, her face grim. "X is blowing up," she said, showing Zara the screen. #TrustYourGut is trending. Women are sharing stories. Z. You started something. Zara's eyes scanned the posts, women recounting eerily similar experiences. Charming partners, suspicious drinks, gut instincts ignored. Her heart swelled with purpose, but the weight of Darren's betrayal pressed harder. "I didn't start this," she said softly. "Temi did. Rena did. I just finished it." Maya leaned forward, her voice fierce. "Don't sell yourself short. You faced him down, recorded everything. You're giving Temi a voice now." She paused, her eyes softening. "What do you want to do next?" Zara touched the crumpled note from Darren, now torn in half by Maya. "I want to make sure no one else goes through this," she said, her voice steadying. "But right now, I just want to breathe." She looked at the wine glass, its contents untouched, and pushed it away. "I need to talk to Rena. She risked everything tonight." Lila approached again, hesitant. "I don't mean to intrude, but I have Temi's old number. I can try reaching her, if you want. She'd want to know you're okay." Zara's eyes lit up, her voice urgent. "Please. Tell her I'm here, that he's caught. Tell her she's not alone." Lila nodded, stepping away to make the call, her fingers trembling as she dialed. Maya watched, her expression proud. "You're building a sisterhood, Z. Right here, right now." She gestured to the restaurant, where diners were still stealing glances, their whispers carrying fragments of Zara's story. Zara nodded, a faint smile breaking through. "I didn't expect this," she said, her voice soft. "But it feels right." The restaurant's glow seemed to brighten, the weight of the night shifting from betrayal to purpose. The restaurant's ambience felt different now, the candlelight softer, the violinist's melody less mournful. Zara sat with Maya, The table still cluttered with the photos and the bracelet, symbols of a life she was leaving behind. Her phone buzzed with more messages from strangers, each one a thread in a growing tapestry of shared stories. She felt raw, exposed, but also powerful, like she'd reclaimed something Darren tried to steal. Maya scrolled through her phone, her voice low. "Look at this, Z. A woman just posted about a guy who tried to slip something in her drink last week. She saw your story and reported him." She met Zara's eyes, her grin fierce. "You're changing things." Zara's heart swelled, but doubt lingered. "I don't know if I'm ready for this," she admitted, her voice trembling. "All these people looking to me. I'm still figuring out who I am after tonight." Maya leaned forward, her voice firm. "You're Zara Michaels, the woman who took down a creep in front of a 5-star restaurant. That's who you are." She gestured to the photos. "And you're not alone. Temi, Rena, these women online, they're with you." Zara nodded, her fingers tracing the edge of the table where the packet had been. "I want to do something," she said, her voice gaining strength. "Maybe work with restaurants, train staff to spot this stuff. Like Rena did for me." Maya's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant. Call it Sip Safe or something. Teach people to trust their gut." She paused, her voice softening. "But first, you need to take care of you. What do you need right now?" Zara looked around, the restaurant's elegance no longer intimidating. "I need to stay here a little longer," she said. "To own this space. He tried to take it from me, but I'm taking it back." She picked up the water glass, raising it. "To surviving." Maya clinked her glass against Zara's, her grin wide. "To thriving, Z. You're just getting started." The restaurant's hum seemed to cheer, the diner's glances now filled with respect rather than curiosity. Zara's hands steadied as she sipped her water, the cool liquid grounding her. The restaurant's glow felt warmer now, the chandeliers casting a soft halo around her and Maya. The photos and bracelet remained on the table, but they no longer held power over her. She was rewriting the narrative, reclaiming the night. Lila returned, her face lit with hope. "I got through to Temi," she said, her voice trembling. "She's okay, Zara. She's been hiding, scared, but she wants to talk to you. She's grateful you stopped him." Zara's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "Tell her I'm here," she said, her voice firm. "Tell her we'll fight this together." Lila nodded, typing a message, her fingers flying over her phone. Maya watched, her expression soft. "You're already helping her, Z. And all these women." She gestured to Zara's phone, still buzzing with messages. "You're turning pain into power." Zara nodded, her heart heavy but hopeful. "I keep thinking about Rena," she said. "She risked her job, maybe more, to warn me. I need to thank her." She glanced toward the kitchen, where a new waitress was clearing tables, Rena's absence a lingering question. Maya leaned forward, her voice conspiratorial. "I bet she's out there, watching this blow up on X. She's a hero, too." She paused, her eyes searching Zara's. "You're going to be okay, you know that, right?" Zara took a deep breath, her smile small but genuine. "I'm starting to believe it." She looked at the wine glass, its contents untouched, and felt a surge of strength. "I didn't drink his lies. That's a start." Maya grinned, raising her water glass. "To new starts, then. And to kicking ass." They clinked glasses, the sound sharp and triumphant in the restaurant's hum. The restaurant's energy felt alive now, the diner's whispers a chorus of support rather than judgment. Zara sat taller, her emerald green dress no longer a costume of naivety but a symbol of her resilience. Maya was texting, coordinating with Lanra, who had promised to follow up about Temi. The photos and bracelet were pushed to the side, relics of a past Zara was leaving behind. "I'm serious about this sip-safe idea," Zara said, her voice firm. "Restaurants need to train their staff, how to spot guys like Darren, how to protect customers." Rena knew what to do. Others should too. Maya's eyes sparkled, her voice excited. You're onto something, Z. Imagine posters in every bar, every restaurant. Trust your gut. You could partner with people like Lila, maybe even Elena. She nodded toward the journalist, who was now at the bar, typing furiously on her laptop. Zara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. It's not just about me, she said. It's about Temi, Rena, all these women messaging me. We can't let this happen again. She glanced at her phone, a new message popping up. Your story made me tell my boss about my creepy coworker. Thank you. Maya grinned, nudging her. You're a leader now, whether you like it or not. Own it, Z. She paused, her voice softening. What do you want to do right now, though? This night's yours. Zara looked around, the restaurant's glow now a canvas for her rebirth. I want to stay until I'm ready to leave, she said. Not because he wanted me here, but because I choose to be. She raised her water glass, her smile fierce. To choosing myself. Maya clinked her glass, her voice proud. To you, Zara. The strongest woman I know. The restaurant's hum seemed to agree, the diner's glances now filled with admiration. As the night wound down, La Belle Étoile felt transformed, its elegance no longer a trap but a stage for Zara's triumph. The table was cleared of photos and the bracelet, leaving only her water glass and the untouched wine, a silent testament to her survival. Maya sat beside her, her presence a steady anchor, while diners began to leave, some offering quiet nods of respect as they passed. Zara's phone buzzed with another message. I'm Temi's sister. She's crying, but she's relieved. Thank you for giving her hope. Zara's heart swelled, her purpose solidifying. She looked at the wine glass, Darren's words. Drink up, baby, echoing in her mind, now stripped of their menace. You know, she said to Maya, her voice soft but strong, he thought he could control me with that glass. But I'm the one in control now. She picked up the water glass, raising it with a defiant smile. Drink up, baby, she said, her voice ringing with triumph. To me. Maya laughed, her eyes shining. To you, Z. And to every woman who's done with lies. They clinked glasses, the sound sharp and clear, cutting through the restaurant's fading hum. Lila approached one last time, her smile warm. Temi's on her way to the station, she said. She wants to testify. You gave her that courage, Zara. Zara nodded, tears pricking her eyes. Tell her I'll be there too. We'll do this together. As Lila walked away, Zara looked around the restaurant, its chandeliers glowing like stars. She wasn't the woman who'd walked in hours ago, naive and hopeful. She was something new, stronger, fiercer, ready to fight. Let's go, she said to Maya, standing tall. I'm ready to leave this place behind. They walked toward the exit, the violinist's melody swelling as if in salute. Zara's heart was heavy, but her steps were light, each one a promise to herself and every woman watching. I'm glad you made it to the end.